Alright, today I am going to be breaking down preseason game action. Let's see what we did find in all these games. Alright, hello Habs fans. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Habs Fan Forum. I'm Ben Dankyu, and of course here at the Habs Fan Forum, this is where us fans get to have our voices heard. I'm in a little bit of a different setting right now because I'm currently recovering from ACL reconstruction, which is pretty crazy when you think about it because you know so much about these injury patterns when you follow sports that you're like, yeah, I know. It's about 8 to 12 weeks and, week-to-week recovery on crutches, and you have like this whole thing down, and then you go through and you're like, oh, this is much harder when you're not a professional athlete with everything at your fingertips. So, excuse the different setting. All right, today I am going to be breaking down preseason game action. We have seen 6 games from the Canadiens. The first one I was at, which I shared last week, and they didn't fare so well. I mean, we got a lot of good looks, but I can't say the off-season that was so crazy really piled into a glorious preseason. However, we all know those games don't matter, and we all know that the real reason the preseason action is so important is to test chemistry, to see how new coaches are going to adapt and implement their systems, to evaluate individual players. So we got a lot of great looks. Unfortunately, there's lots of players we didn't get to see. I mean, if you look back at my training camp video, I was really excited to see Hoffman on the power play. I wanted to see how the defensive line pairings would shake up with everyone healthy, with Edmondson back. So what they mostly did was pair rookies with veterans and just kind of like test out these players throughout the preseason. So we got a lot of cool looks. We certainly have not seen the full edition of the Montreal Canadiens for the 2021-2022 season, and that kicks off next week. For now, let's see what we did find in all these games. Alright, so game 1, like I mentioned, total disaster. It was probably the worst game of hockey I've ever seen live. They lost 4-1, but it felt like 6-0. There was like a 30-minute span, of course, where they didn't score. One shining light was to fully scored, so they made it 4-1. But that was just move on to the next one. Game 2 looked a little bit better. They were up against the Leafs again, and this time they beat them 5-2. We got a first look at Dvorak. We got to see Jonathan Drouin back for the first time this season in Game 2. We got to see Yoel Armia put his skills on highlights. So, Game 2, they came out, they won it 5-2. That was big, mostly because you got to see Dvorak put up 4 points. Drouin put some points up, and Armia was the star on the ice that night. All right, next up, we have another blowout from the Sens and the Leafs. It was 7-2 Sens. The Sens are a scary, young, developing team. Yes, so that means they have a lot of these young guys playing in the preseason. So you got to see a pretty, maybe not this game, but as the preseason games develop, you got to see a pretty good rendition of what the Sens are going to look like. Josh Norris, Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk. They're going to have a Thomas Chabot. Batherson. They have a lot of good young players, so they're definitely no team that's going to be a pushover by any means, and they showed that in the preseason. We'll see how it goes in the regular season when the points matter. But nonetheless, they blew out the Canadiens 7-2 in this game. That was another ugly one where it was really just testing. Before we continue, I just want to mention our sponsor. Since Rocket Sports Media is a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, they are proudly sponsored by DraftKings. Hockey is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook has an unbelievable offer. All you gotta do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, throw down a bet of $1 on any NHL hockey game, and as long as they score 1 goal, then you will get $100 in free bets. All you gotta do is use the promo code THPN when you download and sign up, and you will get, how often do you see a nothing game in the NHL these days? It doesn't happen, so that's basically $100 free for you. So head to that DraftKings app and use the promo code THPN. If Sportsbook's not available in your state, that's cool. You can actually still win great prizes with daily fantasy sports. Just head to DraftKings Daily Fantasy and use the promo code THPN, and you'll get some awesome cash prizes anyways. All right, Game 4. the Habs get a surge back. Brendan Gallagher back with the team, plays his first game. Very excited to see him on the ice. He is a leader through and through, and it was great to see him back with the team. They win this one 2-1. I'm pretty sure Gally potted a goal too, just to get that, and on a nice giveaway too, that they want that one back. But it was great to see Gally out there. He looked good, he looked sharp, and he was leading that team by the way he knows how, scoring goals. All right, next game we have up. Leafs over the Habs 6-2. We see you, Leafs. You're still not happy about that first round exit. You really gave it to us in the preseason, and you are a talented team. Neither of the teams that put up these wins were full Leafs rosters, so it's going to be a lot of great rematches with the Leafs this year. The Habs are going to have a lot of fun with those. I hope they come out in the end. I hope they at least go 500, but those Leafs are dangerous, so we're going to see them at the top of the division somewhere. And maybe again in the playoffs or another upset. And then finally, the last game of the preseason was a 5-4 shootout win of the Sens over the Habs. Another tight game. The Habs came out really strong. You got to see Josh Anderson with a power horse, one of those goals that we love to see from him. We love to see it more consistently. Just saying. But great to see him pot one of those. We got to see Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki come together on a goal. We got to see Petrie snipe some shots from the point, which is great. We're going to hope for that a lot this year with Shea Weber out and Petrie stepping in for him. So those are going to be key. And yeah, we got to see some more strong play from some of our depth players. This was the closest to an NHL roster the Habs have been, and they still didn't have, of course, like Hoffman and Edmondson, and of course, after the big news this week, Carey Price not with the team, hoping he has a good recovery and whatever he's going through. Jake Allen did pretty well in his place, and Montembeault, I mean, even though they lost 5-4 and then they lost 6-2 in those two games with Montembeault and Allen, but I wouldn't call either of them goalie, losses necessarily. They played fairly well, and they're just getting themselves, sharp for game action as well. So overall, 2-3-1 over the preseason. Next week we have puck drop of the first regular season game against the Leafs. I am super excited for this team to play anyone in the U.S. I understand the rivalries of the Leafs and the Sens, and last year they played so much and it was really fun, but I'm super excited to see them play Boston and Tampa again for a rematch, and anybody in the U.S. for that matter. So of course, puck drop next week is going to be with the Leafs, but soon after, we will be seeing the Habs on the road in the U.S. in full stadiums, and then back home for eventually a full stadium. I'm really excited about that. All right, that's it for this edition of the Habs Fan Forum. I'm Ben Danke, your host. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, just like down below, share with your friends, let them know how all these preseason games went, and what they can look forward to in the new upcoming 2021-2022 season from the Montreal Canadiens. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get future videos. Go to allhabs.net for some amazing content, game wrap-up reports, podcasts weekly, roundups of the week in the notepad. If you love the Montreal Canadiens, you gotta be going to allhabs.net. All right, thanks again for watching, and of course, woo! Go Habs, go!